On today's show,
We'll preview and predict both conference finals matchups.
who will win the battle of the backcourts out west? Do the Raptors just let Giannis go off? Can we get this started already?
And would the Knicks actually trade the number one pick? We'll talk to Katz and LaForce live from the NBA Draft Lottery.
It's Tuesday, May 14th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm Jay Skeets, alongside me as always, Tass Mellis. We got the Aussie, Lee Ellison over yonder. That's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey, yo! Trey, what's up tonight?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag the starters. And guys, we had a couple of Game 7s over the weekend, but tonight is Game 7 for some of the worst teams in the league. That's right, it's the Draft Lottery, which we predicted on the show yesterday when our creepy chef Rick prepared 99 peanut butter sandwiches and a single Vegemite and sardine sandwich. We had to eat all of them up until somebody found the sardine sandwich, and that lucky guy, you're never gonna believe it, it was Tass Mellis, who then revealed the Atlanta Hawks as our official pick for tonight's lottery. That being said, the real lottery is tonight, so if you're not a Hawks fan, there's still something to root for. But it brings us to today's question. What is your lucky lottery charm? For instance, you already see it. I've got on my Bulls sweatshirt. I've also got on a Bulls t-shirt.
Wow.
Down below, I've got on Bulls shoes and the piece de resistance, the Bulls Benny the Bull socks. Will it help tonight? I don't know. Lee says he's wearing lucky underwear, so maybe that pulls it out for the Knicks. Nonetheless, we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter. What is your lucky lottery charm? Send them to us at hashtag the starters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, Lee, show your underwear.
Yeah, knickerbockers for the Knicks.
That's right.
All right. On tonight's show, we are going to talk to Andy Katz and Ali LaForce live from Chicago ahead of tonight's NBA Draft Lottery. We're also going to preview and predict the Eastern Conference Finals between the Raptors and the Bucks. But let's start out west, gentlemen. On Friday night, the Warriors managed to down the Rockets in Game 6 without Kevin Durant, and they're going to be without him for Game 1 tonight and probably Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals versus the Blazers. Portland, meanwhile, well, they disposed of the Nuggets in 7 games, thanks in large part due to CJ McCollum's hot hand. This marks the third time in 4 years the two teams will meet here in the playoffs. You see the schedule. Game 1 tonight on ESPN. Can't wait. But let's break it down. Guys, what's the biggest question you have heading into this West Finals?
Well, you mentioned Kevin Durant's injury. Steph Curry steps up for the Golden State Warriors as the number one guy, like he did at the end of the series. Will that continue? Because this is a role that Steph relishes, I believe. This is the time of year he loves. He loves being in that one spot, with Klay Thompson. I think you got to include him when you talk about Kevin Durant not being there. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are very capable of being number one and number two scorers. So as they go, throughout these first few games, the Warriors will decide, well, maybe Kevin Durant just hangs out for another game. Give him another game's rest. Maybe another game's rest if they can take care of business in these first two in Oakland. And I think, we look back at the Clippers series where they gave up 2 in Oakland. They're going to be pretty focused on trying getting these first 2. Are they going to be a little bit fresher than the Portland Trail Blazers? You would think so. You'd think that they would be ready to jump into these roles as the number 1 and number 2 guy for a series here if Kevin Durant can't play that way. I know it made it a lot more interesting for us when KD went down, as crazy as that sounds, because it makes these two teams pretty even. So if Steph is your number 1 player, if Steph is the best player in this series, it's going to be a long series or a short series for the Portland Trail Blazers.
I am looking for the Portland Trail Blazers. If they can keep these games close, these first 2 games, they've got 2 guys, who can close it out in Dame and CJ. And that, I think, is going to be critical here for Portland. We know it's tough even without Kevin Durant. But if they can just make sure the game is tight, they know they got Lillard down the stretch. And CJ really stepped up in Game 7 against the Nuggets, where he carried that team when Dame wasn't having a great game. And he just showed his versatility on offense. He can get inside and score a layup, or he can step back and hit that little baby jump shot, even knock down a 3 if needed. But they're not going to live on that 3-point line if they don't have to. So I really like the fact that Portland has got guys who can finish the game. The key is keeping it close enough so that those guys can then go out and finish. Because we know with the Warriors, one of their weaknesses is turnovers, and they give you a chance to win. That's right. So if Portland can just do all the right things throughout the game, when it comes to winning time, Terry Stotts is very confident he can throw the ball to either one of those guys, and we know that the Warriors have got good defenders. But I like CJ and Dame's confidence in their ability to actually finish off a game. So that to me is going to be a critical thing to look at in this series.
It's not just the end of the game, though, to me. Lillard and McCollum really need to match what Curry and Thompson do for the Warriors for the entire game. CJ was been basically the same throughout the playoffs. 24 points per game, 45% shooting the first round, 26 on 45% shooting in the second round. Damian Lillard is the guy who's been a little bit more up and down. The first round basically belonged to Damian Lillard. 33 points per game, 46% shooting, 48 from three. It was ridiculous. In the second round, though, he's basically just a good player. 25 points per game, 40% shooting. They need him to be in the 30-point range. They need CJ to be in the 25-point range. And it's going to be their toughest series by far starting here because you got Klay Thompson playing defense, you got Andre Iguodala playing defense. The Warriors will give some other shots. Maybe Curry will guard a little bit of Lillard, depending how things are going. These are bigger defenders with some length on them. That's been a problem for Damian Lillard in the past. We saw it a little bit in their previous series, not so much against the Thunder, though. So we'll see. Is Lillard ready to attack the big, long guys on the Warriors? Hopefully so.
You don't think the Blazers can win a game if only one of their guys in the backcourt is going off? Looking at that game 7, for example, against the Nuggets, where Lillard goes 3 of 17. That's not going to cut it, even if McCollum's on fire.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe they can if they combine for 70 points and one guy has 60 and the other guy has 10. Maybe then it works.
Sure,
but I would still like to keep the guys in the 60-point range with the 30 being split between the two of them rather than just one guy.
Yeah.
Well, we talk a lot about the Rockets and this being their best opportunity to have knocked off the Golden State Warriors in the last round. Well, the Blazers have lost to this Warriors team twice as well, and they're looking at this as a good opportunity for them. And Damian Lillard, I think, has got to have a bounce-back series. As you mentioned, he wasn't himself in round 2. A lot of it was Denver getting way up, taking the ball out of his hands. CJ McCollum was the leading scorer on that team. This is Dame time if he wants to do this.
Yeah, but you guys keep saying the Warriors are going to try and take it out of Lillard's hands and McCollum's hands. That leaves, to me, what I look at, will the Blazers go small, and what contributions will they get from Aminu and Harkless? I think they're going to be left open. I think that's the wise strategy to do. And they were solid in the regular season hitting the three, but they've struggled in the postseason, both those guys. They have just not hit a lot of their open threes. They're going to have to give the Blazers any chance, I think, of sort of making this series. They have to step up, so we will see.
I think they play Lillard and McCollum more one-on-one, more Klay, hey, just try and go by me, like they did with James Harden. And then, though, I think Lillard is going to have the opportunity to be big in this series.
See, take a look at our predictions right here. Everybody taking the Warriors, though? We think it's going to be a series for the most part. 3 of us going Warriors in 6. Trey likes Warriors in 5. I'm sure the whole Kevin Durant, when he or if he comes back, comes into play here, but I'm with you guys. It'll be interesting to see if the Warriors take care of business and win the first 2 at home.
Yeah.
What's the rush to bring Kevin Durant back for Game 3? If they split it, maybe a CKD.
yeah.
Maybe a CKD in Portland a little earlier than normal. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, though, it's the Freak versus the Claw. We'll preview and predict the East Finals when we come back.
The Starters is presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey.
Eastern Conference Finals time, a matchup between the teams with the 2 best records in the regular season and each with an MVP caliber superstar leading the way right now. In the semis, the Bucks easily took care of the Celtics. The Raptors jumped on Kawhi's back. He carried them to a 7-game series win versus the Sixers. There's a look at the schedule. 1 versus 2 in the East gets underway on Wednesday night. Guys, what's the biggest question you have heading into this Raptors-Bucks series?
Well, it starts with Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's the best team, best player on the best team. How you guard him, for the Toronto Raptors. Pascal Siakam, the young guy, is going to get this primary assignment. It's going to be tough for him. A couple inches that he's giving up to him. He should be up to the task somewhat, but this is Giannis Antetokounmpo we're talking. There's going to be help, and the Raptors showed that they could help guarding Joel Embiid. They did a very good job against Joel Embiid with a bunch of guys. Joel Embiid, 21 or lower in 6 of those 7 games, only had that monstrous game, that one game. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is a very different beast. Will he be setting guys up like crazy if they decide to bring 2 bodies at him? Because Pascal is going to need help. As big and as strong as he is, Giannis Antetokounmpo was big and stronger than basically everybody in the world, in the NBA at the very least. So is he going to be setting up those 3-point shooters? I can see Brook Lopez, a guy who just lives outside, way outside, a couple feet behind the 3-point line, causing some problems for the Raptors. He was a little cold in the last series.
Yeah.
If he gets hot, with Marc Gasol on him especially, who doesn't want to guard way out there, Brook could go off. And you're probably going to see Nick Nurse have to go to Serge Ibaka quite a bit at the 5 spot.
What do you think?
I think the battle of the benches are going to be key in this series. Against the Sixers, the Raptors bench was pretty bad, but they survived. They got through that series.
Serge was big in Game 7.
It basically was Serge Ibaka. He was their
Yep.
bench, and that was it. And then against Milwaukee, though, that just can't happen because Milwaukee even actually got better when Giannis and Chris Middleton went on the bench. They had a key run in Game 4 against the Celtics. So the confidence that Milwaukee bench has coming into this series right now is going to be huge. And for the Raptors, Fred VanVleet and Norm Powell, I talked about this against the Sixers series. I said, these guys have to be good, and they weren't. They were awful, to the point where Nick Nurse, you could tell, he didn't even really want to play those guys. Well, you know what? You have a bad series, shake it off. Unless you're injured, you've just got to get out there and be better and play. Step into some shots and take some shots, be good on defense, hustle, and do all those things that your team is relying on you to do. Because the Raptors can't play 5 or 6 guys 45 minutes in this series. They'll just run out of legs, especially coming off a tough 7-game series. Milwaukee, this is one of their key strengths, their bench. They go with confidence to George Hill, and Ersan comes off the bench, and Pat Connaughton was very good. Those players, I think, are going to feel very good in this series. The Raptors have to match them. You know, they don't have to outplay them, but they certainly have to match that Milwaukee depth. So I think that's going to be key.
I'm looking at the point guard matchup because I assume Giannis is going to be great, Kawhi is going to be great. Chris Middleton and Pascal Siakam kind of in the same situation where they're guarding the opposing team's best player while also trying to be the second scorer on their team. That's a tough thing. So to me, the Bledsoe versus Lowry matchup is going to be huge. And which one of those guys is going to be able to string together 7 good games, right? We've seen
It's going
Lowry.
deep.
yeah, maybe. Possible 7 games. But both of these guys, Lowry and Bledsoe, can be really up and really down from one game to the next. Which one of these guys is able to string things together for a couple of weeks? Is Kyle Lowry willing to be a scorer? Is Eric Bledsoe able to stabilize rather than be in a roller coaster? That's a really big coin flip, this matchup, and I think it could determine a lot of games, and if it determines a lot of games, that's the series.
Bledsoe was great after game 1 of that series against Boston. You thought maybe that first loss would have really shaken him, but instead he bounced back. So he's going to be feeling really good coming into this series.
He was good, but George Hill was what really gave the Bucks the point guard advantage in that series, and he could do the same in this series as well because he has been Spurs George Hill. He has been that guy that they didn't want to trade for Kawhi Leonard initially.
He can't miss a shot right now.
Yeah, he's feeling
on
good,
fire.
and he's going to play really good defense against Kyle Lowry. Lowry's going to scrap and be tough no matter what, and you're getting off the plane today. He didn't look all that great. He's got a nice little soft cast, but you know that Kyle Lowry.
It's like an oven mitt.
Yeah.
He's just getting some cookies out of the oven, I'm sure.
He's cooking on the plane for the men. I
Hey,
guess,
remember
out
when the
there.
Raptors played the Pacers a few years ago? George Hill was the point guard for the Pacers. He gave Lowry some real trouble then. So
Exactly.
I mean, if George Hill hopefully he will be coming off the bench, so maybe Lowry can avoid him. But you know that if needed, Budenholzer can probably throw him on there and really throw Kyle off.
Here's what I'm looking at with this series, and I know I sound like a broken record when I talk about the Raptors. Can they capitalize on uncontested, specifically, threes? They're going to get threes. And the Bucks, that's sort of their game plan defensively. Nothing at the rim, and we'll let you shoot. We're going to try and get you to shoot in areas you don't want to from the three-point line, and from players you may not want to, but you're going to have your looks. And if you remove Kawhi's 15 made threes versus the Sixers in that series, the rest of the Raptors combined shot under 29% from distance. Lowry can't go 1 for 7. He needs to be more like 3 for 7, 4 for 7. Serge needs to pour in 2 or 3 like he did in Game 7 there. Then you need VanVleet, you need Norm. They need these guys to knock down shots. I know it's very simple, it's very cliche, but they're gonna get open looks, and they have all series long. And for the most part, they haven't knocked them down in a lot of these games. To have any chance of upsetting the Bucks here, and I think a lot of people think of it as an upset if they do move on, they have to hit these shots because I think they'll get them. I think they'll get them. So much focus will go to Kawhi. Can these other guys step up and help him out? Somebody has to hit some threes.
Yeah, they weren't reliable in that last series.
No.
They just weren't. And something that wasn't reliable for the Sixers in that series was Joel Embiid's health. Giannis Antetokounmpo, looking good, looking strong. I don't see any issues with him. That's an upgrade. I think you have to worry about that. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be out there all the time. And then when he goes to the bench, unlike what happened with the Sixers, is that the Bucks get better. If this is a battle of the
Do you
benches,
think that happens again in this series? Because that shocked us all. It's pretty rare when your MVP goes to the bench and your team starts ripping off these 8-9-0 runs and you actually do get better. Will that happen again?
I think the Bucks bench will crush the Raptors bench most likely. If it's a battle of the benches, that's a huge win. If there's an actual battle happening, that's a huge win for the Raptors bench. They were horrid last round. So if there's any sort of resistance from the Raptors bench, that's big. Yeah, they probably won't be a positive, but I don't know. This is going to be a tough series.
Well, let's see the predictions where everybody's leaning. Whoa! Is that Brandon Jennings? We got two Bucks in six.
Man.
Shout out to Brandon Jennings. Trey and Ligo with the Brandon Jennings prediction. Tass likes Bucks in 7.
I'm being a realist. Hopefully not, but being a realist.
And
here.
I am mad biased. I got a Province of Canada sweater on for crying out loud. You think I'm picking against the Raptors right now? I'm absolutely picking Toronto.
What is
Who
the
cares
Province
if I'm
of
wrong?
Canada? What does that even
Who cares
mean?
if I'm wrong?
Are you
I'm
going to go to
back the
Game
team.
6? You say Raptors in 6, you're going to go to it?
Lock it in. I'm flying home for
Whoa.
Game 6 when the Raptors will close out this series.
You've got an awful record, though, in playoffs
What
when
do
you
you
go
mean?
home. When you go home,
I'm great
Raptors
good luck,
always lose.
Charles. Look, you've hung around with me 10 years. Look at your career. You're taking flight.
Killing it. You got AK threads left and right.
Yeah, man. All right, when we come back, would the Knicks actually trade the number 1 pick? Talk about that and more.
Welcome back to the show. The NBA Draft Lottery takes place tonight. You can get prep for it by watching the Draft Lottery show here on NBA TV. Right after we're done on the starters, you'll see plenty of great interviews with the prospects, and we're happy to have on the people conducting those interviews, Andy Katz and Ali LaForest. Andy, Ali, thank you for joining us. Let's just jump right in because there's some hot rumors about the Knicks, if they potentially get that number 1 pick, that they would be willing to trade that pick to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis. Do you think this is a wise move?
I do. Clearly, Andy does not.
I do not. I think it's complete, utter, ridiculous rumor. I think this is as much a lock that whoever gets the number 1 pick, if it's the Knicks, to take Zion Williamson like we had in 2003, that the Cavs were going to take LeBron James. I think it is done. He is a guaranteed seat filler for 3 seasons, tickets, exposure, everything. Whoever gets that number 1 pick, I don't care, Knicks, I say they're keeping him.
You know what else can sell a lot of tickets? Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving. That will sell out the Knicks every single night as well. Here's the question. What else are you willing to give up, right, for a Zion Williamson trade? Because it's not just going to be Zion Williamson, especially if you're in New Orleans and you know you have a lot of leverage here. It's going to be Kevin Knox, perhaps even another player. And number 2, are you willing to give up your franchise player, potential franchise player, for a 1-year rental, knowing Anthony Davis's deal is up in a year? Those are the big questions. But if you want to win a championship immediately and you know you're getting Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, or believe you have a strong chance in doing so, you can win a championship right away.
I get that. My issue, of course, would be that there's a lot of dominoes that would have to fall and guarantees that I don't believe these players would give for you to give up a player like Zion.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
let's look at that draft lottery odds as we head into tonight's big draft lottery. You know, we know the Knicks are up there, 14% chance. You got the Suns and the Cavs, and then the Bulls and the Hawks with fairly good chances as well of grabbing that number 1 pick. You just said it, Andy. You expect Zion, no matter what team wins this thing, to go number 1 overall. But how do you round out this sort of top 3? And I know it depends obviously on where the teams fall, but who do you have sort of going 2 and 3 after a potential Zion at number 1?
Well, I would go John Morant from Murray State 2, unless the Hawks get that 2nd pick because of Trae Young. I think then they would go RJ Barrett. Otherwise, I think we're going to see John Morant, RJ Barrett from Duke, and then at that 4th spot, I think that's when the draft really begins. You go a lot of different ways. Jarrett Culver from Texas Tech, Cam Reddish from Duke. That's where it really gets wide open.
I couldn't agree more. People would be willing to give up the kitchen sink for a guy like John Morant. And so if you are Phoenix in a position and he's still on the board, you have to trade that away and see what you can get for it.
All right, well, you guys interviewed plenty of players today. Was there somebody that stood out, or just give us the lowdown? Who was interesting that you talked to today?
Well, I think both of us agree that Grant Williams from Tennessee, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, is such an outstanding individual, high character. He's going to score off the charts in all his team interviews. But what kind of surprised me was that he has not decided 100% he's all in. He said he's going to wait till Saturday to see what happens with all these interviews, if he's going to stay in this draft and get some sort of guarantee that he's high enough. But man, he is so impressive wherever he goes. NBA cities, teams are going to love him.
His whole thought process through this thing is such a small example of who he is as a man. And getting to cover him in the NCAA tournament, he is so intelligent and he thinks through every single decision so meticulously. And he is not going to make a decision unless he 100% knows it is the right one. And not just the right one for him personally, but the most intelligent one, which is why he's gathering all the information he possibly could. Bol told us he's a few weeks away from being cleared physically to play. Jackson Hayes from Texas said he really thinks he could be utilized out of the pick and roll really well. Nasir Little says he thinks he's a better shooter than what he showed at North Carolina. He said that very confidently that he didn't believe that he was able to fully showcase his shooting abilities and believes he can do so.
And two other names real quick here. Romeo Langford, still recovering from the ligament damage in his thumb, said that he
Yes.
hopes he'll be able to work out for teams before the draft. Wouldn't guarantee that. And Jared Culver from Texas Tech, who played the national championship game, he said by playing for Texas Tech, he thinks he's better prepared for the NBA because he has now got great pride in defending.
We also got down to the really difficult questions
Yes.
as well, like personal hairstyles and where they rank in the NBA. Take a listen.
It's me. It fits me. It's my thing. You know, everybody has a thing. Like, James Harden has the beard. Like, I think it's just me. It fits my personality, who I am, how I play. You know, electric. Just, you know, it just fits me. And, you know, I had it for so long that, you know, I think everybody loves it. So, you know, why I don't want to cut it or nothing like that.
Yeah, Kobe White with the great dreads there. Final question for you guys. If you were team representatives tonight at this draft lottery, what would be your lucky charm? What would you have brought with you to try and get that number 1 pick?
I'll tell you, you know what I would have brought? Is an actual ping pong ball.
Okay.
Because no one actually brings a ping pong ball. I would have a ping pong ball with my logo on it, and not that I would slip it in there to just say, hey, they drew this one, which I don't think they do anymore, but I would just actually bring a ping pong ball with my logo just for old time's sake. That would be my lucky charm.
I'm going to give you the answer that I always roll my eyes when players give me after games when they say, I just want to thank God for all my blessings. When you ask them, you know, why they actually won the game and you ask them a basketball question, I'm going to say, I'm going to bring a cross and a lot of prayers. That's exactly what I would do.
Andy, Ali, that was great. As guys who cover the NBA and just the NBA, we learned a heck of a lot from you guys.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. Stay tuned for the Draft Lottery Show coming up in minutes after the starters, but stay tuned to our show. There's more coming up right after the break.
Basketball is already back. You gotta love it. Tonight, game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, Blazers versus Warriors. No Kevin Durant for the Warriors. We know that much. This one on ESPN at 9 p.m. Eastern. Lee, I hope you stay up to watch it.
Oh, yeah, 9 o'clock's all
Have
right.
an espresso, buddy.
Yeah.
Have an espresso. All right, we asked you, what's your lucky lottery charm? You hit us up on Twitter, #thestarters. Trey, you got some answers.
Yeah, some good answers. Hosman says he's wearing some Lakers socks. They got a 2% chance tonight. Would be hilarious if the Lakers actually won the lottery. Maybe those are lucky, though. Troy says he has years of disappointment and Kemba Walker's soul, but doesn't have a picture of it. Fair enough.
Okay.
But my favorite answer is from Sam, who says, my 1-week-old son, Zeke. Zion would have been messing with the lottery gods too much. I think he said he might have named his son Zion just to win the lottery.
Wow.
Had to go with Zeke, though. Smart move.
Quite the commitment. All right, good luck to everybody out there. I hope everybody wins the number 1 pick tonight. Is that even possible? I don't think so. All right, we got a drop podcast for you. It's Tuesday. We recorded that earlier today. We talked about the conference finals in great detail. We talked about what we did when Kawhi shot Game 7, jumping around the old living room. And we talked about the Sixers and the Nuggets and the Rockets, sort of the next steps for them to grow on a somewhat successful seasons for some of them. But that's it for us tonight. We'll see you guys at 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, you got to risk it for the Trisket.
Brace the night, people.